And so a couple of years ago, during the pandemic, he and I and Julia took a trip to Montgomery.
Julia is her daughter.
Got it.
Yeah. And on the way to Montgomery, we listened to a podcast that had Charles Blow as a guest, and he talked about
Charles Blow.
Charles Blow, who's a columnist from the New York Times.
Okay, yeah. So I never read the Times. That's why I don't recognize the
I
name.
think he's a Black columnist, right?
Yes, and he talked about how he went to Grambling State, HBCU, and his children both went to Ivy Leagues, Cornell and one other. And he talked about what it was like for him and what he gained from going to an HBCU, and just knowing that, you know, when you walk into a room, a Black person was the smartest person in the room, or a person of color was the smartest person in the room, and how that just sort of flipped his education for him in such a positive way. And so we were on our way to go to Montgomery, and we went to the Equal Justice Institute and the lynching memorial in Montgomery, which was it was just such a moving trip and so important to us. And Freddie, on the way back, said, I'm going to put at least one HBCU on my list.
Wow.
So he's a person of color. He's not African American, but he's a person of color. And he's been going to school in a very segregated school system that we have here in Nashville, where almost all the white kids go to private schools, and almost all the public schools are about 90% people of color. And so he put this on his list, and he's just decided that of all the schools on his list, he's also got University of Louisville. He wants to go to a majority minority school.
Mm-hmm.
Is one of his goals. So he's willing to give up baseball because Howard doesn't have a baseball team. They do have a baseball club, and they seem like a bunch of really guys. But so anyway, it's been a little bit of a rocky road for him. He I think wants to hold on to baseball, but he also sees other possibilities if he lets it go.
Wow. You know, one of the things that I love baseball, La Pelota, and one of the things that is a little sad about baseball is that young Black Americans who used to be such a big part of the sport 50 years ago, Willie Mays, Lou Brock, all these people, Barry Bonds, for whatever cultural, anthropological reason, they are less into baseball. And as a result, most of the players of color in baseball are now Latinos in one way or another. And when someone like Reggie Jackson talks about baseball, that makes them sad. I'm happy there are more Latinos in baseball, but I also understand the concern that Americans aren't of color. Well, Latinos are. Well, actually, a lot of the Latinos who play in baseball start off as not American citizens. So they're coming from the Dominican Republic, they're Cubans, they're Venezuelans, et cetera, et cetera. So